to talk about how to use the actual planner part of this book. Inside the book, there's a question that actually says, do you want to run the Money Surge 21-day protocol now? And the reason I put that question in there is because when you read it or when you hear it, you are going to feel whether you want to do it or not. And whether you can tap into your own intuition or to your own energetic field and see what your body is saying, whether it wants to do it or not. Because what I have found is that sometimes when you ask yourself those questions, when you're doing things, when you want to know if you should be doing this thing or answering this way or going down this path, your body will tell you whether it's going to be a yes or no. Now, there is a difference between a clear yes and a clear no, but there's also a no but. I get a lot of the no buts. So the no buts are, for instance, if you ask yourself this question, it's, are you ready to do this 21-day protocol? And you went, no, but I can probably start in a week, or maybe when I'm finished doing this, or maybe when I do that. And to me, the no buts are the ones that you actually have to do. So when you have some resistance towards something, for me, this is how I've been powering through most things, is when I have a little bit of resistance, I know it's something I do need to do. Versus when you get an actual clear no, because when you start clearing up your beliefs in your energetic field, you will start being able to hear answers a lot quicker, a lot more easily, a lot clearer in the way that you get to know and understand how they feel for you. So it's good to practice. If you don't know how to do that, you can use some of those energy testing or whatever else you want to use in order to try and tap into your own answers. So anytime I hear a no and there's a conversation on the back end of my no, it's definitely something I need to do, because I'm just making excuses for why I can't do it. Versus if I just get a clear no, move away, walk away, change the subject, it's just not for me for right now. So either way, whatever you get, listen to that and work on that. Now, I'm going to put also in here what I've sort of created as the daily protocol, because with the planners, we have the 21 days, and I just have the actual book here, so I can make sure it's going to be the same. I'll put the PDFs and the copies in here as well, so you can access them. But with the daily protocol, I put it down as a few steps of how I had envisioned when I created this whole idea of doing the 21 days and what I thought it could look like for the next 3 weeks or 21 days. And, you know, I'm going to tell you it's up to you how you want to do it. But if you want to do it the way that I'm describing here, knock yourself out, because I'm sort of one of those people that's an all or nothing. So if you were going to give me something to do, I'm going to try and do it the best of my ability. I'm going to try and get an A+. I'm going to listen to everything you're telling me. I'm going to add in all those little pieces as well. Because if I was focused on trying to change my mindset or do something different, then I'm going to be all in on doing it if that is what I thought would help me get to the next step. Don't get me wrong, there are many things I've started and not completed all the way through. So I'm actually putting myself on my own 21-day protocol, not with money, with something else, just to prove that I can do it, because I don't talk about things unless I do them as well. Okay, let's continue. Daily protocol. So for number one, now, this is where you can create your image of what money looks like for you. So earlier in the book or in the videos, we spoke of how we create how money was going to look for you. And for me, it was going to be the image of this man, blah, blah, blah. And it can be whatever it is for you. So first we need to determine what that is, because that's what you're going to use is the essence of you wanting that money or wanting to try and bring that in to whatever it is you're trying to manifest. And then the second thing is choose a money amount or object you want to create in the 21 days, because we are going to use the 21 days to use that image of whatever that thing is we want, but we're going to try and attach it to something. So let's just say, for instance, when, I want $1,000, like, and I mean, you can choose whatever you want here, I was going to tell you to not go over the top, but honestly, do whatever you like. If you want to try and get into that energy of manifesting $1 million, or whether it's something where you just want to try and manifest like $50, or maybe it's a free meal or something, you can. I don't think it's going to matter. People are going to tell you that's wrong, because people are going to say, oh, if you're down here, you're not going to be able to make $1 million. I don't know. You can do whatever you believe you can do. So create something that you want to achieve in 21 days. Then you're going to, number 3, create a story about it using fantasy and desire of how it will come to you. So we spoke about the storytelling and using fantasy. So we've created that image of what money looks like, and we're going to make a story and make it big, bold, weird, wild, and truly out there. Now, number 4 here, I've written, use those 3 steps to create that ultimate feeling of desire and hold it for as long as you can, and then let it go. So this is something, and this is how we address it in step 5, is do that whenever you want during the day, or use it 3 times a day along with the 369 method, which is included in here, and we will get to that. So what that means is, because we've created the object of the thing is that we want to desire. And honestly, if you don't want to create an object and you just want it as money, or you've just decided you want to do a card, just do whatever it is, whatever those things that you desire, those things that turn you on, those things that are going to make you feel good, use that. You are then going to create a story. So imagine whatever that thing is that you want. You are now going to create a story in your mind, make it as crazy as you want. If you need to watch shows, or you need to read other books, or watch movies, or look at comics, whatever it is, just create just a story that is so exaggerated and ridiculous, but obviously something that you enjoy, something that you like, something that's going to give you that desired effect. Because that is the feeling that you are going to hold into as we work through these actual daily planner days with the activities that are in there. Because after we have that, and I have not set it out so that you have to do this 1 million times a day. You need to do it for this length of time. There's so many different ways that you can bring that energy into you, but if you are creating, because if you're doing this brand new, if you're creating something that you really want from a truly desired space, and maybe you are using it as a person, as this fictional character or person in the essence of what you want that money to feel like, and you are bringing it in maybe that sexually tension type manner, where you are building and feeling yourself in that place to lead up to an orgasm, or whatever your desires or creations are, that you are using the feeling of that, the energy of that, and you are creating these wild and fantasy filled stories of the way that that person is doing or being those things in order to bring that money to you, because this person is money, etc. And you're feeling into that. The secret would be to try and hold that for as long as you can. Obviously, I'm not talking about hold on to it for the whole day, because we still need to let it go. So I would suggest using that story, because when you're creating a story, and the trick is with the story, you can use the same story and grow on it if you want. So if today you started creating the story, and then tomorrow you use the same story, but you added this in, or you changed that, or you changed this up, or you did this different, you can do that. Or you can create a whole new story 5 times a day if you want. I've written there that you could use that with the 369, because that's at least 3 times a day that you can sort of feel into that energy. But I definitely suggest at least doing it in the morning and at least in the afternoon before bed. They are going to be the 2 most potent times, but you know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say that, maybe 3 times is a nice little number for you to do it. I've not given you when to do that. It is something that you can create for yourself and something that feels good for you, but you do need to get into the habit of creating that and having that feeling, that feel good feeling, and then being able to build it up to such a point where you can't build it up anymore, and then you're just going to let it go. So coupled with that is going to be all the manifesting tools inside the planner. Yes, they are all basic manifesting tools that you've probably done a million times before. But what this is doing, this is giving you this habit of creating and being in this space of trying to manifest money, because that's what this whole book is about. Remember, even though we're trying to do it from the space of our own desires and the things that we really want to create, and we're trying to raise that frequency of who we are. So we're sitting in it from a place of us bringing that energetic feeling within us to be expressed outwards in order for these things that we want to come into us. But when we're coupling it, you can't see it in here, but you'll see it anyway. You'll have a copy. All these standard basic tools are then just helping you lock into that idea of that money or that thing coming to you, so that you can use your affirmations, you can add in switch words, you're doing placemats. That's where you're doing the doing things to help solidify the feelings that you're having and the things that you are bringing in. We have daily spending, gratefulness, morning, afternoon, evening. That's for your 369. And then there's a few other little other things that I've added in there, but that's just going to help you get into this routine, to get into this feeling, this whole energy of money, and the way that you are feeling about it, the way that you are bringing up your frequency, the way that you are desiring things, the way that you are using as many things as you can to try and bring this into your life. Because the more things that you are doing, because that is going to start not give you as much room to be holding on to maybe some negative thoughts, or putting in the worry or the doubt or the fears or those other things that you constantly think about all the time. So it's just filling up that space with the things that could be actually working for you. So number 6 was just using all the other manifesting tools daily to help boost your desire. At number 7, I've written, know that it already exists and trust that it is coming. So you will get a lot of doubts and thoughts in your mind that tell you, oh, that's not going to happen, blah, 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 you suck, you're not going to get that, it's not going to come in, this is going to happen, blah, blah, blah. You're going to have to look at those and maybe even use some of those money belief techniques to try and find a way to look at them and feel them and move through them. They're not going to help you. But if they do come up, that is actually really good, because then you get to look at them. And that's exactly what this whole process is about, is moving you towards those things that you want, so that you are in that frequency of where your energy is clearer and it is able to receive exactly what you want to receive. And that's exactly what I've written here at number 8 is, and then any beliefs that come out of believing any of this, use the tools or your own to allow them to dissipate. There is a daily protocol sheet which just has a list of some of the things that you can be doing. There is also an example of a completed planner, but I'm sure you can all work that out. In the next few videos, though, we're going to be going through every single different section on this planner, so you know what they're about and why they're in there, and any other information you need about them to help you when you are working through the 21 days. Don't be so emotional. I'm going to refer to the book a little bit when I talk about these to make sure we stay on track, because I know that with some of the other videos, I went off track and didn't really follow exactly what I was writing. The emotional section is this little section at the top, and you'll see it below, but what it is, so there's literally just these smiley faces that I have at the top of the planner, but even though they're just there to sort of judge how you're feeling for the day or whenever you want to fill it in, I just wanted to talk about emotions a little bit. And in the book, I've mentioned that there is an emotional wheel, there's emotional scales, there's even a vibrational chart, and they are included in the book, and I will put them below as well so that you can see the difference. Because we know what an emotion is. Like if you said, what is an emotion? We know how to feel an emotion. We can tell you that in this moment I am feeling like this. And That can be based on what knowledge we have about what we are feeling and how it feels within our body. Manifesting 101 does try to teach you that whatever emotion you're in order to try and raise your frequency or lift your vibration, is to try and get to a higher feeling emotion. Now, that's all well and good, but sometimes when you're feeling sad, you just can't sort of shift it up and go, okay, I'm just going to feel better now. And it's really important still for us to honor what we're feeling in the moment, still being aware that, yes, we probably should try and get a higher feeling emotion, but if we can't, it's okay. And the reason why I'm putting these scales and charts in here is to show you different perspectives of what people believe, where our emotions sit on different scales, there were a few things that was really quite interesting to me. Now I'm just going to read this part to you. As someone who has sat in a pool of tears for days on end, not being able to get out of it, I know how bad sometimes your emotions can feel. Awareness is one of the best tools you can use, and acceptance. Be aware of how you were feeling, what people, places, or thoughts are triggering you. Are there certain songs that are making something feel too painful, even making you extremely angry? Do you have some trauma? Have you been through that may need some professional help? Either way, being aware will allow you to see where you are in and out of different emotions. They can change throughout the day from moment to moment, and once you see them, start accepting them, because we know that emotions are attached to a belief. Remember, the experience gives us a feeling, which determines the emotion, which creates a belief, which creates a story. Even with our varied emotions and having an awareness and acceptance, we can still choose what we want to feel. I was so sick of being sad that I had to find another way to live. Sure, I have a valid excuse. My husband died. So if I want to be sad forever, then I can, because it's valid, right? I was in the mindset of, well, I have no best friend. I have no more future. My kids don't have their dad. Sure, my husband died. It's valid sadness, but he's not here and I am. Do I want to spend my life in sadness? No. Do I still miss him? Of course. It doesn't mean I have to be sad all the time to prove that I miss him. I can be happy and I can still miss him. And basically the rest of what I've written in here is truly about allowing your emotions to come through and not giving them the power to take over. There's different levels of the way that you will feel different things based on, a whole array of experiences or things that you are dealing with in your life right now. But witnessing when you are feeling something, allowing them to be felt is pretty powerful, because many times we get taught to stuff down your emotions. Oh, stop feeling that, stop feeling that. But when we can allow them to come in and to be seen and to be accepted exactly as they are and what they are, you get to have this whole new level of trust in yourself and create a space that allows these emotions to come through. And depending on what tool you want to use or how you deal with your own emotions will really determine on how that's going to feel for you and how that's going to work for you when they come up, when you're trying to be in a more positive or a more powerful or a more higher vibrational state. And you will find ways to work for you if you don't already have any, or if you want to change them, or if you want to mix them up. So in the book, I have the emotional scale that is based on the Abraham Hicks model of the emotions and the different levels and where they sit. I've also added in there something called the consciousness level. So it's from David Hawkins, and there's a whole theory and the whole thing about it. So I'm not going to talk about it because I don't know enough about it. But the thing that I found interesting on that list is how desire was underneath anger. Now, here I am promoting desire, and apparently, according to this, it's underneath anger. I would think that desire feels a lot better than anger. But I think the way that I see this, desire from there would be where we are seeing ourselves in a place of lack. So it's like a way where we are looking at ourselves as not being good enough from where we are, that we are wanting something else in order to fix who we are. That's where I think that desire is coming from. Whereas where I see our desire and the way that we are wanting things, I see that more as in us embodying the truth of who we are, not doing it from a place of lack, but from a place of empowerment. But that's the emotion section. There's a lot more information that I've added to it, even though on the planner page it is literally just a couple of smiley faces and you just have to pick one. But it is a very important topic, but I think if you were here, you already know this stuff. So that's emotions. Let's get to the next section. So the next section is called Positive Charge, and it's all about affirmations. What kind of manifesting book would we have without affirmations? And it's funny, I've even written here, like in the first paragraph, is don't roll your eyes, I get it. I did the same thing. There's many times I would hear someone talk about affirmations, you're like, oh my God. Yet this was literally the first place I went to when I first started trying to make a change with who I am. And regardless of where you are with them, whether you like them or not, I do think they have evolved a little bit from the space of where we just create this sentence, I am a millionaire, and suddenly you're a millionaire because you're feeling into it. Because, of course, we know that if we start thinking about these things that we believe or we want to embody, that we are going to get that resistance from our mind, from our body saying, no, you're not. You know, if I said, I am the queen, no, you're not. So with these affirmations, I have added a new one, a different one for every single day. So every single day you can say a different one. Of course, you don't have to, but it is just a statement that can help you reiterate or lock in that feeling, that desire feeling, that want that you're trying to create over this 21 days. And the other thing that I mention in the book is when you are creating your own affirmations, and you can change the ones that I've written in there if you want to write your own, knock yourself out, is not to use the opposite of what you want. It's like putting everything on the front foot instead of on the back foot. If you had like if you were always saying I'm so broke, and you said, okay, I'm going to create an affirmation to counteract that, and you said I am not broke, you were still saying not in there. So instead you could say I have a lot of money, I earn a lot of money, money comes to me really easily and freely. So it's not using that not word and things like that, or don't, or I don't know. There's just a different vibration to it with the negative connotation of the word. So when you are creating your affirmations, try and do them in the positive and in the current as if you already have it. The other thing that I've added in the back there, and this is not something that I really sort of attach to with all the chakras, etc., etc. However, you can mix up your affirmations into these different sentences if you believe in them, and the different power and the words you can use with them. So instead of saying I am powerful, so we could look at that. Well, that's coming from our root chakra, which is down the bottom here. You could use your sacral and say I feel powerful. I'll put a list of this down here. Solar plexus, I do powerful things. From the heart, it could be I love powerfully. I speak flat powerfully. That's your throat. Third eye could be I see power, and crown, I know my own power. So just a different doing word in the way whether you're feeling or seeing or saying or knowing gives that sentence or the way that you construct it a change. So you can do that as well if that feels better for you. You could even do all of them for the whole affirmation if you wanted to really sort of lock in that whole frequency of those chakras if that's what you believe in. Switch words. This is something I learned. I remember I bought a course and it was this lady telling us about how you can manifest. I can't remember, but it was such a good spiel and it was such a good ad, and it was all about switch words. And it was the first time I had ever heard about it. And I'm like, oh my God, what is this magic that you speak of? Because she had all these results and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But what it is basically, if you wanted to create something that you want and it was elaborate and it had maybe a lot of steps, maybe a lot of description, maybe you wanted to add a lot of different feeling or meaning or pieces to something that you were manifesting, instead of you thinking about that whole thing and that whole scenario, you would use that whole thing that you're wanting to manifest and change it into one word. And it didn't have to be a word that represented the thing that you were trying to manifest. It would just be a word that would represent what that is. So imagine if you were trying to manifest, I don't know, a business that had 100 customers that brought in 50K a week. And that was something that you were working towards. You could then create one word that represented all those things together. So it doesn't have to be related to the business. You could call it notebook. So every time you said notebook, you would automatically know that that word meant all those things that you were talking about. And it's kind of this process where you go in and you create this scenario or this thing that it is that you are trying to use this word to encompass, and feel into all of that, and then sort of program it into that word so that word represents that feeling. So once you do that and you get your brain to understand and your body to feel it and to understand, every time you mention that word, it's going to start connecting all the dots and go, oh, I know what that means, and you can feel into it. So you could even use it like with the story that I talk about in the beginning of creating that money as a desire. You could turn that into a switch word. Of course, that's just going to lock in one particular story or one particular way for something to happen. So you may not want to have it set up like that, but it is something that definitely that you can use to wrap up a whole lot of things together into one word, so you don't have to keep recreating the whole description and the whole experience or pieces of whatever it is you're trying to manifest. And it's just a good way, like even if you use some super random word, or even if you heard it, you could tap into it and go, yes, I'm feeling into that because you said that weird word. So that's what switch words is. So there is a space on the planner that you can create a switch word, and you just write that in there every day. Your place or mine. This is about placemat. Placemat is not a new tool like all tools in here. This is a well-known Abraham Hicks tool that I use, and honestly, it is the simplest tool you can use, and one that I found just works so well for me when I need to be doing things in the planner. And I know I keep holding this book up and it looks kind of weird, but up in here, like, it's so weird doing things the opposite way. But when you look at the things that you want to do in a day and you split them up to the things that you know you're going to do that day, and then you put everything else into another list and you give it to the universe or God or whatever it is that you want to believe in, it's like you get to dust your hands of those tasks that you need to do. Just let it happen, because we can get so stressed out in all the different things that we need to do or that we want to do or we think we need to do in the day. And we can get frustrated and angry and annoyed and think that we're going to run out of time. And then sometimes we're so worried about doing these things that we procrastinate, so we don't actually do anything. And even though we have this big long list, we're not doing any of those things. We don't get anything done. But what I found with placemat, which is literally you creating two columns. The first column is you doing stuff. The other column is for whatever you believe in to take care of. So for me, I have it as what I will do for the day and what I'm giving to the universe. Whatever I give to the universe is going to sort itself out. So in that list of things that you know you're going to do that day, make sure they are something that you are going to do that day without fail. Even if it comes down to the end of the day and you go, oh my God, there's still one thing on my list. I always make sure that that is what I do, regardless of whether I had time, whether I procrastinated, whether something else came up. I have dedicated myself to creating that these were the things I was going to do today. And so when I create the list, because I know that I'm going to make sure that they get done during the day, is that I make sure they are things I'm going to do that day. So you can use it just for whatever it is in your business that you're creating, or what you're working on, or what you really want to get done for the day. Even if it's simple tasks like everyday chores, like if you put off the washing or if you put off the cleaning, you can add that in there and make that something on your list. Put everything else on the other list. Let whatever it is that you believe in to take care of it. Even if you put in there like the washing, let the universe take care of the washing. It's like, well, you know, is some magical fairy going to come down and do the washing for you? It's not like that. It's, what if someone in your family came down and said, oh, I'm going to do a load of washing for you? It's like, oh my goodness, someone doing the washing, or something like that. But it just takes that onus. It just releases the pressure. It just allows you to instead create the space and allow you to do the things that you say you're going to do for that day, and then actually complete them. And then at the end of the day, you go, woohoo, I did those things. Yay me. Now, the other thing that we have on the planner is something called a virtual spender. Is Hey Big Spender, which is virtual spending. Virtual spending, you all know what this is. It's literally just giving you a set amount of imaginary money for you to buy whatever you want. I have included that on the planner up in the top right-hand corner. The only reason I do that is to see if there's any resistance, because I have done it in increments so that every day the amount does increase. And by the end of it, I think it goes up to a really high amount, because you know how we test things with our body and we test to see which things feel uncomfortable and which ones don't. By day 21, it's up to $1 million. Like, you know, I play small. But seriously, if you can get into that energy, imagine today I said, okay, here's $50,000. You've got to spend $50,000. You're like, okay. And then tomorrow it's, okay, here's 75. You got to spend 75. Hang on, but I've just spent that 50. How do I have 75 to spend? So it's really funny trying to get into that mindset of seeing which feels comfortable, which doesn't feel like enough, which feels like it's too much. And just sort of help us release any sort of resistance to the different amounts of money. Or if there are, maybe it's going to help you solidify where you feel comfortable. Maybe you don't want to be a millionaire. Maybe you are happy with $100 a week. Maybe that's all you need. Maybe that's all you want, whatever it is. It's just interesting to get into that feeling of trying to spend that money every day, especially after a few days when you've already bought a lot of the things that you've been trying to get for so long, which seems so far out of reach. You'll be like, oh my God, what do I buy now? What do we do with this money? What do I do? And it's just really interesting to see how far you can create those desires and write down things that you can virtually spend your money on. So just use them as fun, use them as something crazy, and don't try not to use them on boring things like bills and stuff like that. Just try and get those creative and imaginative juices flowing in your mind and seeing all the different ways that you can try and spend that money. What is a manifestation book without gratefulness? Thank you so much. Gratefulness was also something hand in hand that came up with affirmations when I first started learning about manifesting and how to be a better person. And it's such an interesting and often underrated power that we can have in the in the process of being grateful for things. Also, we can also sit there and think, it's too simple, I need something bigger and more in depth. But gratefulness, it's just helped me so many times. I know many times where I would even feel high levels of anxiety or situations that didn't feel very comfortable and were feeling really tight and messy in my body, that I was able to use the simplest thing, like being grateful for having a comfortable bed, or being grateful that there's the sun outside, or being grateful that I have a yard I can walk in, or I can sit in the sun, or I can grab a glass of water. And I know these things sound like, so boring, but it's those simple things that in those moments where you feel like that whole world is crashing around you and that it's not going to get better and that this situation sucks, or it's lots of situations, or it's all this pressure of these people or these things happening around you, and it's like, I don't know how I can survive, what I can do. But just finding that smallest piece of something that you can be grateful for is it's cracking open your heart. It's cracking open that place of you feeling like, okay, if I can be grateful for this small thing, I can be grateful for more things. I can really allow more of this feeling of just loving and enjoying and having and being these things all around me. And I know there's so much more to this. I know that there's people who do full programs. I actually did a whole program on it, but it really helped me see things in such a different light and to just appreciate everything. And even though now when I'm such more of a leveled high vibe state, I still use the power of being grateful for all these moments and accepting and holding and seeing and feeling these things in that same amount of love and gratitude, like I would for the things that I was already thankful for. So even if there are situations that, may not be something that you want to accept or something that you want to experience, if we can eventually learn to be in that place where we can say, okay, I'm thankful for that experience. I'm thankful for, what this is, and to send it love, it's going to help that situation dissipate from your body, and energetically and in the reality around you, it's still going to allow it to, depending on what you believe in and what you think and how things work out there, but it can alleviate that tension or that anxiety or that sadness or that fear, whatever it is, around what is happening, because you are giving it that loving feeling. You are thanking it for what it is and how it is, and it's such a powerful place to be in. And the more you're able to do that, the less you're going to have of those moments that you don't enjoy. So even though it is a super simple tool and something that a lot of people talk about, and we hear too many people talk about it sometimes, it's actually really powerful. And you don't even have to call it that. You can use different words. You can remember, we can make our own stuff up. We can just make it whatever it's going to be for us and how we're going to think about it and how we're going to feel about it, as long as it's, part of this whole process of us truly being in that space where we can really appreciate where we are right now, regardless of any other sort of perceived reflections of the outside world around us. So in the planner, there is a section every day where you have to write something you're grateful for, and knock yourself out. You can write one thing, you can write a million things. It's up to you. Or you cannot do it at all. But honestly, I would suggest doing it, please. Because you're going to need it. If you start, once you start getting to the next two books, it's going to be something that you can really build on. Just saying. There is a little list that I also have in the book on some different things that you can be grateful for, because I will tell you, when I first started getting into that, it's like, okay, let's be grateful for something. And it's like, okay, I'm grateful I have food in the fridge. I have somewhere to live, somewhere to sleep. I have hot water. It did take time for me to see just how grateful we can be for simple things. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that you could be grateful for having paper or, or being able to speak or being able to record this video. My mind was so close. I was not in that space of not even knowing how to be grateful or what that looked like or what I could show gratefulness for. But anyway, I'll put that list in here as well. The 369 method is from Nikola Tesla. It is something that you may already know about. It is something that I only decided sort of last minute to incorporate into the book and into the 21 days. It was not in the original book. I knew of that tool that you could do, which is literally you creating a statement that you repeat 3 times in the morning, 6 times during the middle of the day, and 9 times in the evening. And there's a whole story in back end that goes with that. And I will link some more research on that you can go and find more information about. But Tesla believed that there was so much magic in the 369 numbers. In the book, I've barely touched the surface on what those numbers mean, with the number 3 and how many things come in threes and how powerful that number is. And even with number 6 and the way that works with our geometrical patterns and the number 9, how it sort of brings them all together. There are so many different ways that we can talk about those numbers and how they work together. I'll put some videos in here to show you more, as well as the book content, but trying to give them justice. I tried to start doing this video, even just like reading from the book is like, it's not enough. And I also think it's something that needs to be interpreted for yourself. It's something that you get to do your own research and you get to decide if that's something that aligns with you and something that you feel you want to do. But I will have all that information in here, and you can see if you were going to include that as part of your daily routine. So on the planner, I have actually set, I'll get used to this opposite side. So the mornings has got 3 lines, afternoons got 6, and evenings got 9. So I did create this so you could do it after you create your sentence. The other thing that I did mention is in the beginning, where we were talking about our desires and creating the things that we want and creating what that looks like, that we could use that feeling when we were doing those sentences. We can link the thing that we want to manifest in 21 days into that story, into those sentences, so that we can bring it all together and get into that feeling, because, we know it's all about that feeling. It's all about increasing that vibrational frequency. And the more times we can do that, not all the time, because we still need to let go and let things work, adding it into that 369 into the morning, middle of the day and evening type scenario allows you then to give you at least 3 times a day where you're thinking and feeling and being in that juicy goodness of all those things you want. So that is something you can do as well. There is a space on the planner that is all about something called silence. And I know that a lot of programs and a lot of things that people talk about is meditating, being quiet, breathing. There's so many different ways that we can have a little piece of quiet throughout our day. And I've represented this as this silence thing. So in the book, I actually describe a little bit more about the breathing. It's a heart coherence type breathing that I would use as just that little piece of silence throughout the day. So what it is meant to do is to encourage you to take those moments out of your day where you are doing something not related to the things around you, to the thoughts, to the to maybe the things that are uncomfortable, the things you don't like doing, the things that are too noisy, the things that are too busy, and just give you that moment to just stop and take a moment for yourself. And of course, you can do that whatever way you like, even if it's just taking in one deep breath. Maybe it's you meditating for an hour. Whatever it is, it's just to encourage you to take that time, because we can get so busy with our lives, with our family and our partners and our children and our work and our jobs and our extracurricular activities. Sometimes we don't make that space for us to just stop. And that's where the magic happens, is in those moments when we do stop. And I know there's a lot of people who tell you about the benefits of meditating for a long period of time. But if you are anything like me, that can be super difficult to try and just stop and let those thoughts just sort of dissipate for a long period of time. I have had moments where they've disappeared, but sitting in those long meditations isn't for me. So just using, whether it's a heart coherence technique or some sort of breathing, or even just stopping and doing nothing, even if it's a space where you just allow your thoughts to come through, where you just sit still for a moment, whatever it is, try and find as many moments as you can during your day to just be quiet. Even if it has to be when you go to the bathroom, even if it has to be when you're walking to your car, or you're sitting at the lights, or you're walking from one place to another and there's no one around, you just have that moment. Just use it wherever you can, because that is what's going to help you to really sort of allow those thoughts to come through, to allow your own intuition come through. And it just starts to get you into that routine. And eventually, I'm telling you, it does get easier and easier. I haven't reached a moment where I could spend hours or days in quietness. That is probably something I may not get to, but just being able to spend that time, even if it's just once a day, of just having a moment to yourself will make such a difference. You just spend that time on you and allow that time to be just for you, and see how you feel. Because a lot of people say, oh, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to take time for myself. Just try one. If you don't have time, just try one. Just take a moment and take 3 breaths. That's it. 3 deep, long, on purpose breaths, and just see how you feel afterwards. That's it. And then build on from that. But just try and take as many of those silent moments for you. And on the planner, there's a space and you can tick them off. It's just to give you a little bit of a reminder to try and just stop just for a moment. There is a section about water that I put in here. I'm not going to go down the whole world of water and the benefits of it and the quality of water and all the different types you can get. But I have put it on the planner because we know that we're pretty much made up of water. So we know that we need water to help us function on a better level. We know our cells need it. We know our body needs it. We know when we don't drink enough. We will notice the difference when we have a certain amount versus having none. And I know for me, my body will tell me immediately when I've not had enough water. And I know a lot of people don't notice that. I know that even with my husband, when I first met him, he never drank water. He didn't even know that you could drink water plain. It was either cordial or alcohol. My father, his whole life, would not drink a glass of water on its own. He just couldn't do it. It was either tea or beer. So of course he ended up sick and dying way too early. But I have put in there water on there so you can remind yourself to keep yourself hydrated. When we are working on ourselves on this different level from just this everyday physical human being type stuff, and we start getting into that energetic work and we start connecting to whatever we want to believe outside of us, that it can take a toll on our body. And I think it's important for ourselves to keep us hydrated, because it does make such a difference. And you'll hear that a lot from people saying, oh, make sure you drink water, make sure you drink water. But you need to drink water. And I'm not going to tell you what type of water to drink or what's better for you, but do your own research and, invest in whatever the best water is for you. I have filtered water that I pay for, and then it actually is filtered through shungite stones. And that's what I'm liking at the moment. You can do whatever you want with water, but try and do the best that you can have. You'll have your own beliefs on water, but I guarantee you need water. Everyone needs water. That's just part of a human anatomy. So go drink some water. There's reminders on there to make sure. I think it's like an 8 glass. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, the old school 8 glasses. And, I'm pretty sure there's special math you can do to work out how much you're supposed to have. But just like with anything, it's going to be up to you and what you want to have and what feels good for you. But if you have this much, try having this much and see if it makes a difference. So if you have this much, try having this much and see if it makes a difference, because you'll notice. And it depends what you're doing, what you're eating, how you're feeling, what's happening outside. So there's a lot of fluctuations, but drink water. The details don't matter as much, just drink water. I don't even know if this section is worth a video, but I'm going to talk about it. On the bottom of the planner, there is actually a little square. I used to have something else in it in the other version, but I took that out. So now it is just inspired thoughts, which you think, well, that's stupid because we already have all this writing space over here. That's right. So that is just like a little extra section. You can do whatever you want in it. You can draw on it. You can put a word. You can have a thought. It's so small, like you can't put too much in there. Do a little picture, do a little diagram every day. So you can put something in there if you want. I've just put it down on the bottom of the planner. There's no big wow factor. This is amazing. It's just another place for you to have a different area to do something else, because in that main section, it's more about, if you want to use it for the 369 method, and then the other side, the journal part, is more for you to write actual journaling and longer type things. So that inspired thought, that could be even when you have just one idea or a drawing or a symbol or writing or whatever you like. So that section is up to you, but I have labeled it inspired thoughts. Money tracker. On the bottom of the daily page, there is a really tiny spot here for money tracking. That's just for what comes in and out for the day. And it depends on, how you get your money, how it comes in. Do you get lots of things during a day? You can even include things like discounts, things where someone may have bought you something. If you go for a coffee and someone else pays, where you get a discount on something, or whatever it is, just celebrate even all those little wins, even if you find 5 cents on the ground. And the money out, like, we need to celebrate that as well. Even though you may sort of think, oh, I hate paying bills, oh, I never have enough money. When we get into that feeling of how great is it that I'm able to pay this bill? How great is it that money has come in that I can now pay for this thing? And just see it as that energetic exchange. See it as this money coming in, money flowing out. It's this beautiful motion to allow more to come in, because if we just hold on it and not pay for stuff, it's just like those emotions and those beliefs. And we're trying to release that. We're trying to allow the flow of that. There's also a section in here, and it is super, super basic, where I have made it so you can put all your money tracking for the whole 21 days in here. So it just looks like that. We're not doing the date, who it's from, what it is, blah, 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 just an amount. Just put amounts in there. You can include whatever you want, is what you see as money coming in or money coming out. And then, if you need more space than that, that's amazing. Congratulations. Hopefully it's this side, the money coming in. And then at the end, you can just do some little totals down the bottom. It's just so you can look at that. Like, even if your money out is fuller than the money in, be grateful like that. You can you get to pay for that. You get to send that money out. You get to bring money in to be able to pay for those things. And that will help you as well sort of notice anything that comes up, because if you are resistant and you're like, oh, I only want to put the money in, and oh, I hate putting money out, you know, there could be something that you need to look at a belief or something that you're ready to release to see if it helps you with that money flow, especially over those 21 days. Okay, now the journaling page, as we saw, is opposite the daily page. So you get a whole page to write stuff. You don't have to if you don't want to. You can use that for whatever you want. You might not like journaling. I don't always like writing things down. I do prefer to type things on a computer. If I'm in a mood and I want to write something and I want to get some stuff out, or I want to work through something, I would rather type it than write it, because my hand cannot keep up with my brain. But typing is a lot faster for me than writing. I know they say there's something therapeutical about you writing things out and the way that it comes through your body, and it's going to be up to you. So you can use that for journaling if you enjoy doing that. One of the suggestions I do have in the book is that future journaling, where it's like you at the end of the 21 days saying, oh my goodness, like you're writing to yourself saying, look what I've manifested, look what I've done, look what I've achieved, look at this money I brought in. So you can do it like that. There's so many different types and ways you can do journaling. You can even draw a picture on there if you want. You can leave it blank. It's up to you, but it is there, especially if there's like a belief or a thought or something that's coming up that you want to work through. There's space for that as well. So that is there with each daily page for you to write whatever you like. And, you know, because the way the book has been set up, you will have to write pretty small. So